Hey, it's Thomas here, and today we're going to be checking out the Frag Traveler from Fiji Cube, which is kind of like first-class flying for your frags. Or I guess more than anything else, it's going to keep them safe and secure, and it's a lot easier to use than plastic bags. Plus, it's reusable, and you can use it for more than one application, but we'll get into that. I think it's pretty fair to say that most reefers are still buying corals in person, either from their local fish store, a fellow reefer, a frag swap, or one of the awesome reef shows. And that means they have to transport them from the place they bought them from all the way home to where their reef tank is. Sometimes that's just a 5-minute drive up the road, and other times it could be quite the road trip. Packing up and transporting your frags in a thick plastic bag is probably the most common method out there, and if you're lucky, the vendor might even be ready with foam discs and elastic bands to keep them floating safely in the center and away from the sides of the bag. And this definitely works, and it works well. Heck, I've had plenty of corals shipped to me just like this, but it could arguably be better. Packing corals in this way takes up more space in a styrofoam box or in a cooler, since you're also packing much more water and air to keep the frags separated. Plus, the frags are still susceptible to bumps and bangs around the bag, as well as if they fall out of the disc and end up bouncing around the bottom of the bag or into their neighbors in the same bag, which can still cause damage even if it's two similar species of coral, since corals don't like getting smashed into anything. Fiji Cube's solution is the Frag Traveler, which in essence is a watertight, O-ring sealed container with a nice acrylic rack insert that fits snugly into place. The insert uses the exact same frag plug locking system as their magnetic racks to hold those frags firmly in place so that they won't jostle free and bump into their neighbors. It doesn't waste nearly as much space as 12 individual bags would, meaning you can get more frags into a smaller cooler, styrofoam box, or even fit all 12 into a very small thermal bag, so you're less limited. And instead of having to stop your shopping at the frag show because you ran out of space, you can keep shopping until you run out of money. Which for me would probably be before my cooler was full, but expensive tastes, I guess. But I digress. In the box, you'll find the Fiji Cube Frag Traveler, including the watertight O-ring sealed container and the locking frag holder. The Frag Traveler is actually larger than I was expecting based on the photos. It comes in at 4.75 inches in diameter by 3.5 inches tall, working out to a roughly 750 milliliter volume. The internal frag rack is 4.15 inches in diameter with roughly 2.5 inches of headroom. It'll accept frag plugs with up to a 1-inch crown and a 0.5-inch width stem, and it can comfortably fit 12 plugs with those maximum dimensions. That means if you've got 12 zoa frags or carpeting or encrusting coral frags, you should have no trouble at all filling up all 12 spots. But if you've got wider or branching coral frags, you'll likely end up fitting a few less to accommodate them so that they don't touch. On that note, to make sure that they don't accidentally touch by jostling free during transport, each plug is held firmly in place with Fiji Cube's locking system, consisting of 5 silicone nubs that firmly grip onto the stem of each frag plug. They work incredibly well, and I've actually tried to, in the past, shake them free from their frag racks, and the plugs had no trouble staying put. There's also a handle in the center of the rack that doubles as a brace to prevent the rack from being able to move up or down inside of the container. And these features together are just a huge benefit when transporting corals, especially if you're shipping them or placing them in luggage that needs to be handled by other people, since they're far less likely to come out of place and move around the container or bump into other frags. Once you finally get your frags home and they are safe, you can then use the Frag Traveler as your dipping container. Add in the appropriate amount of your preferred coral dip solution and gently move the container around to dislodge pests or other nasties. Then open it up, pull out the rack using the handle, and place it into a container of tank water to rinse them off before placing them into your system. Each spot on the rack is also numbered, so you can keep track of what frag came from where or which frag is which if you bought similar looking corals, which is a nice touch. The internal rack also comes apart for maintenance, no tools required. Being able to actually disassemble the rack for cleaning and disinfecting is great. I know a container like this isn't likely to get very dirty since nothing should really be in it long enough to build up with algae or coralline. However, if you did go out and get a frag, let's say, and it ended up having some kind of hitchhiker or a bacterial or fungal issue, and you still wanted to be able to go out the same or the next day to get more frags with your Frag Traveler, being able to thoroughly clean it before transporting any more corals is great and a welcome peace of mind. If safely and conveniently transporting your precious new coral pickups matches your reefing mantra, you can go ahead and get a Frag Traveler for yourself by clicking right here.